Tech research is an important part of building your account in DC Dark Legion. And I've had a lot of people asking me to make a video just talking through some of the tech tree and what you should be focusing on, maybe some of the things to avoid or to save for later. So I want to do a bit of a deep dive video. Hopefully this one won't take too long, but we're going to jump over into Research Lab and kind of do a hands-on thing here. And I'll just start by saying there are two tech trees that you can go down. You have your construction and combat. The combat tree is typically going to cost a little bit more chips in order to get down through to the best parts of it. But in general, I think the combat tree is going to have some of the most important things that you can go for. You can see that I've taken a little bit of a balanced approach with my account. So I have roughly the same overall footprint in each tree. I did try to focus my combat tree a little bit more for a couple of the key things you need to get. Now, the way I would typically recommend that you approach this when you first start your account is to go into the construction tree and get a few things picked up first. And then you're going to jump down into the combat tree and get it to about where I have it before you jump back over into the construction tree to kind of try to finish things out. So let's take a look at the construction tree and talk about how I would do this if I was starting over with a fresh account. Now, the first thing you want to do immediately when you unlock your construction tree is go ahead and get this first new squad. It's going to unlock a second squad so that you can start doing a little bit more participation in things like Umbral Rift and Guardian Challenge, as well as just to do more of those crisis responses on your world map. And usually my approach here is you never want to max any of these individual items when you're going through the tech tree. You want to get to these kind of standalone items as quickly as you can. I also like to recommend that you save some of these other items to go back to during Supreme Commander so that you have some pretty easy items that you know you'll be able to research during Supreme Commander on the right day so that you can get points for that. And that's going to be on day 3. And we'll talk about that in other videos. I've also put out plenty of Supreme Commander content to this point. But the second thing you want to get to, and you can get these first few fairly quickly, like within the first few days that you're playing the account, but you want to get this construction efficiencies. It's going to increase your building construction by 10%. And then you'll jump down to data processing, which is going to increase your research speed. And then you want to get to this other new squad slot, which is going to, I think this one takes a little while to research, but it will get you that third squad slot. And this is really where, I think a newer account is going to start actually doing a little bit more participation wise with their league. So this is the first, I would say, hurdle or main point that you want to get to on your construction tree. And then you'll see that you've got a couple of other items here, at least one that's kind of filler. So you have your warehouse expansion. It's your resource storage time, which is kind of if you have to idle or like be away from the game for an extended period, like if you have to go to your job or for something else when you're asleep, this extends the amount of time that you're able to collect resources before those resource rooms fill up. We're going back down to the next item. We have drone AI upgrade, which is going to increase your drone output. It's important. It's not like a game-breaking item that you need to upgrade for. So those are a couple that maybe you want to skip down to the combat tree for a little while and then come back to these and try to get them upgraded up. But then you're going to hit your Intel network upgrade. And this is going to increase your Intel point cap by 30, which means that you're going to have, again, more idle time before you come back and your Intel point cap is filled up. And this one is really important for trying to get more resources so that you can upgrade your war room or upgrade your champion levels, etc. So whether you decide to stop at the new squad slot or if you really want to get down here and get this Intel network upgrade before you hit your combat tree really hard, that's fine. The choice is up to you what you want to prioritize more. But I think those are kind of the two break points before you jump over into the combat tree, because as you get to some of these higher tier items, it's just going to cost a lot more to research them. And I think there are better ways to dump your chips into the research tree. You can see we have the energy efficiency manual, which is going to increase your power supply. I would say that there's a couple of other items like the power cores here, which will increase power supply as well. I think one other good rule of thumb, if you feel like maybe you've gone too far into the combat tree, you'll know when you need to come back over here. And that's if we can drop out of here for a second and I'll show you. So if your power status goes below high, which is the 20%, so if it goes to 0, that means you need to jump back over into your construction tree and get some of those power supply items up as quickly as possible, because this is an incredible drain on the resources you're able to accumulate for your account. Jumping back in, you can see we have combat replay here, which is going to increase your XP output. And then we get to these remaining three. Like you can see, I haven't even gotten to these yet, but biorefinery optimization is going to increase your STEM output. We've got advanced coating for your chip output, and then we have metallurgy for alloy output, and that basically is going to do it. Again, you have a couple of you have your power cores up here that are going to give you some additional power supply as well. But I think those are just kind of higher level goals that you want to get to. Again, if you've hit the 50% in construction tree, it's probably time to switch over to combat. We kind of talked about that. So let's jump over into the combat tree. I'll scroll down, and just quickly you can see, I'll go to the bottom so you can see how far I've gotten. So I've actually upgraded all of the standalone items that you can upgrade here, and I'm just kind of backtracking and trying to fill in with all of the attack for my attack-oriented champions, health for the champions that need a lot more health, and we'll talk through that a little bit. And eventually, my plan is to fully max it out, obviously. But if we go back to the top, we have the first two items that you're able to max out here. We have the warriors and guardians, and I think like what I did when I came through this, obviously you've got to get the 1 out of 5 in order to go from your physical penetration to the spiritual penetration item. So you want to get those 1 out of 5s, get this one researched. Whenever you're ready to backtrack, you should always be going for your warriors. You want to go attack first, so you could max that one out to 5. And then for your guardian, you would max out the artful dodging, so the health version first, because health is going to be more important for a guardian. Going through some of these other ones, obviously like intimidator, you want to increase your attack. For your healers and your true supports, you'll want to be, and this one's one that people don't really think about, but typically if you've got a healer, so like Mira or Raven, they need attack first. So like their heal is based on their percent attack. So you would think maybe that you should go for the health on your healers and supports, but in actuality, a lot of them require higher attack stats in order to do a better job healing. So you definitely want to focus on that first. If you're struggling in your account with healing, then you want to come in here and try to get that attack stat a little bit higher. So think about that. We've got obviously assassins and your magical damage dealers. Those are ones that you want to focus on your attack side first. And then I actually think, like, I'm trying to focus on my Constantine, so it makes a lot of sense to try to go into the healing for the magical damage dealers, just specifically for Constantine. But really, if you were running like a Legion team and you had a mirror match with another Deathstroke, probably important for you to focus on your Sinestro or your Joker's health. In this case, obviously, Sinestro would benefit from having this a little bit higher. As far as actual breakpoints, again, I think once you get to that point we were talking about with the construction queue, you really want, especially after you've gotten that Intel point upgrade, you really want to come in here and just take it as far as you can down the line. It's going to take you quite a while to get to this point. I would say it probably took me at least 4 months or so to even get to the point where I was maxing out the final spiritual resistance here. Spiritual resistance, physical resistance, those are important. They're not as important as trying to get to these penetration ones. So spiritual penetration is incredibly important for your spiritual damage dealers, physical penetration for your Superman, your Nightwing, those sorts of things. So you definitely want to come in here and try to max this one out as quickly as possible. There's not really like a secret sauce for which ones of these are the most important. Obviously, you're going in a linear progression for these individual items that you're trying to increase. Like, you can't skip around. But as far as prioritization of these other like lesser items in here, we already mentioned kind of the strategy for that, just to go through. And if it's a damage dealer, focus on their attack. If it's a healer support, focus on their attack as well. And then otherwise, you just got to kind of read the kits. But we know that like a champion, like there are certain warriors that actually the attack stat doesn't really help them, like your Hawk Girl, where they've butchered her ability to do damage, but she is incredibly tanky. Then go with the health for that one. Or at least, I guess the way you should look at it is knowing that if you go for health on your warriors, that it's going to benefit a Hawk Girl more than it will, let's say, Martian Manhunter. At any rate, that's really it. This is kind of a short video here. I really just wanted to go into what you should be looking at for maximizing your tech tree. If I missed anything, if you have any helpful tips, please leave those in the comments below. I'm sure people would appreciate that. If you've not already done so, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button. You'll get notified anytime I have new DC Dark Legion content like this in the future, and I will see you on the next video.